All right. Hi from PBL World. We're here with a couple of special guests. I'm Suzie Boss, and I'm here with Dave Potter from iEARN-USA and Chelsea Waite from an organization called Digital Promise. And they're both very active in access to education through technology and also global education. So we're going to hear a little about trends out there that may connect to the PBL World community. But first, let's hear a little about your organization. So Dave is Chief Development Officer for iEARN-USA. Tell us a little about kind of what you guys do and how teachers can connect with you.
Well, this is the 26th year of iEARN-USA. It's a network that began in 1988, linking 12 schools in New York with 12 schools at that time, the Soviet Union in Moscow, using new technologies. And from that, it's grown to about 140 countries and 50,000 teachers and up to 2 million students a day using the network in 30 different languages and 200 different projects. And projects is really the key. We wanted to find a way to connect these students, to engage them, and then to have them produce something at the end of their engagement, which could be a semester or a year. Mm-hmm. And having that product at the end that they could share. And so 26 years ago, we went project-based learning globally, and it works. And it has an amazing impact on the classroom, the teachers, the students, administrators, parents, and it has evolved as the technology has evolved. But the ability for teachers around the world to work on projects at a sustained project. Some of them have lasted more than 20 years. Right. The projects has been like a real success story that really what project-based learning can bring. Right. And there's a universality about the project-based learning. There's no country that says, no, we don't want to do that type of connected, sustained work with our peers around the world.
Some great opportunities there. Wonderful, yeah. Wonderful. We'll hear more about that in a minute. And Chelsea, do you want to tell us a bit about Digital Promise and closing the digital divide and all those great topics?
Yeah, so we don't have quite the history of iEARN. We were launched in 2011. We're authorized by Congress with a very broad mission to spur innovation in education to increase access for all Americans, access to education. So we have a number of initiatives sort of along the spectrum for lifelong learners. Our flagship initiative is the League of Innovative Schools, which is a group of 46 superintendents across the country who are committed to innovative practices in their school districts, technology transformations, and so that was the initiative we launched with, but we've expanded from there to adult learning, an adult education initiative. We're working on teacher professional development through digital badges and micro-credentials, and a number of other initiatives. So, so the main, as you mentioned, the goal of Digital Promise is to close the digital divide, increasing access to technology and all of the resources available.
So some interesting overlaps with your organizations and your use of both of you advocating technology use and innovative learning experiences, but pretty different spheres of influence as well. Your group focuses primarily in the U.S.?
Exactly. Okay. Well, yes. Digital Promise Global is actually a sister organization to Digital Promise, so we're working to sort of expand our vision globally, and particularly interested in this idea of connecting students across cultures using technology and leveraging technology and project-based learning, challenge-based learning.
Great. Okay.
Across borders.
Yes, and I guess as we're thinking about kind of some of the global trends in education and the opportunities for global projects, global learning, you're just mentioning that that kind of desire to connect. In Dave, I know you've been saying this forever at iEARN. That's just kind of how you guys live and breathe. But what are some of the trends that you're seeing lately? Do you see more opportunities for the phrase connected learning is being used more and more, but what are you noticing? What's happening in the global education front in terms of classroom-to-classroom connection or students coming together around problem solving?
I'd say that education now in the classroom is going not just digital, but social and also mobile. And those three trends are really accelerating you've probably seen and written about a bit the last few years, it's not just easier to connect with other classrooms, but it just seems to be the culture of connecting is more accepted than it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago. I'm not sure if it's because if it's parallel to the development of Common Core State Standards. Is it because of the technology companies are releasing products like Skype in the classroom that make it easier? There seems to be a general recognition that to have skills of communicating and collaborating with your peers abroad, either as teachers or students, is a valuable skill to have in the classroom. It's still very difficult to integrate that into your daily curriculum in your classroom. And we have been really lucky to have several thousand teachers in the United States in our network for many years that have sort of been out there, out in front of their schools as champions of it. But I sense that in the next few years, it'll just be much easier and natural in the classroom to have students Skype or blog, post comments on blogs, use any synchronous or asynchronous communications to connect, to find basic information, or to work on a project together, and then produce something collaboratively as like an end product. I think that's the trend.
Yeah, and just as Sam Seidel was saying in our keynote today, it's so important for students to be engaged in work that really matters and that is relevant to the world.
Sure.
And there's absolutely, given the technology tools that exist today, there's no reason why teachers can't engage their students in issues and with collaborators across the world for things that really matter.
Right. And as you're looking at access to education, I mean, as I understand your organization, it's not just access to technology, but really access to education.
Well, right. And
And so do you find that the kinds of projects that involve real things, real work, do you find that that might be a strategy to close the access issue, to get kids who are disengaged re-engaged in education?
Yeah, totally. So we advocate technology use as a tool to sort of on a wider level changing the way that we look at pedagogy, and is technology making teachers more efficient and more effective? And if so, then great. So it's definitely important to be engaging students in this work that really matters. To as Sam was also saying today, really engage those who don't feel that school is relevant anymore, or don't feel that it gives them the skills that they're using in the real world. And I think that global competence and the ability to communicate across cultures is one of those skills that's becoming increasingly relevant in the world today, in the workplace.
Of course, we see it as a workplace issue as the world gets flatter and flatter, and collaboration is happening in the business side. And you were talking about that, Dave, that as something that you're seeing coming out through projects that not just connecting for the sake of connecting, but really coming together to solve a problem. I wonder, is there an example or two you might share of some projects you've seen lately?
Yes, I've seen
many
projects. I really I like a recent project with the organization called Kids Can Make a Difference. It's with us. It's finding solutions to hunger. There are classrooms in the United States that connect with other classrooms, and they look at hunger issues. And they do hunger banquets in their school. They do activities around food, and then they share those activities, and they produce something at the end for not just themselves, but the community at large. And that's an issue. Lots of other issues besides hunger and equality come up. And that's something that students and teachers around the world always have an opinion on. And we've seen, and something that really excites me, is that the more that teachers and students connect around the world, peers globally, the more they want to take action in their local community. And not quite sure how that works, but we've seen it for more than 2 decades now. And it's one of the magical things about going global is it always brings it back to what you want to, action you want to take. And so the kids in both countries, or 10 countries at the same time, everything's multilateral, will take action in their communities for gardens or working at soup kitchens or something like that when they understand that other people around the world have similar issues than they do around hunger issues, for example.
Right. I've seen similar projects around, say, girls' right to an education, looking at the issue internationally, and then what can we do locally to solve these issues. It's just some powerful example. You even heard, you probably know this word, global.
Global, yes.
Global issue and bringing it local.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good
it's
one
nice that there's a word to put towards
exactly what you're
that
saying.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Chelsea, as you work with the League of Innovative Schools, I wonder, what's out there on the innovation frontier? Are there some trends that you're paying attention to, or when you think about innovation in education, what's ahead?
Yeah, well, so a lot. But I'll talk about one thing. I mean, project-based learning has certainly been sort of the talk of the town for a long time. We recently held a summit on competency-based learning, so that's another sort of aspect that we're looking at a lot and that our schools are looking at a lot. How can we base learning around skills and competencies as opposed to giving credentials or judging completion based on seat time? So you spent a year in school, you did okay, you passed.
Right.
How can we sort of shift to a perspective where we're looking at competencies and skills?
What do we really know?
Right.
How can you show
what
us
can you
what
do?
we know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Which goes with PBL as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So they're everything's tied together like that. But that's just one trend.
Yeah. Great. Good. Well, you're going to be at PBL World just today, or are you going to be here longer this week?
Just today, and then
okay.
get ready to go to ISTE.
Okay.
And Global Education Day at ISTE will be this Saturday. We're excited by that.
Okay.
And bring the global education passion throughout all of ISTE, which I think is titled "Connecting the World" this year is the ISTE theme. So
oh, great. Okay.
Everybody's talking about connected learning right now.
It's a big topic, and for all the right reasons.
For all the right reasons, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have continue to use Twitter as a way to keep this conversation going, along with our Media Plus community for PBL World. So if there are resources that you want to share with our folks here or folks who are participating from afar, we can post those and make sure that they know about your organizations. I know with iEARN, you've got a great project library that we often have teachers take a look at if they need inspiration.
Yes, the Buck Institute posts I think 30 or 40 iEARN projects now in the searchable database of projects, and it's been a fantastic resource to send people to. Right,
so people can either emulate them or perhaps in some cases join them, right?
Join them, emulate them, scale them, change them, adapt them, evolve, all those things that project-based learning allows you to do over time.
Great. Good. Well, thanks for taking some time to chat this morning. It's terrific learning more about what you're doing and kind of what's ahead.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.